You're listening to Book Chat with author Vivian E. Moore.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Hello and welcome to Book Chat. I am your host, author Vivian E. Moore. I hope everyone had a great week. I hope you're having a great weekend wherever you are. So let us get right to today's show without further delay. And the title of today's show is Get Lifted. And the topic is Aspiration and Inspiration. John Legend couldn't have said it better in his titled album, Get Lifted. Just like that song and last week's events left me filled with inspiration, fueled by our new president's speeches, past presidents, and a 22-year-old poet laureate. I clapped, cheered, and shed a few tears of joy for those who shared a stage united for the same cause. What an honor and humbling experience at the same time to have witnessed that incredible historical moment, proud and hopeful just from watching someone else's success. How can this not inspire anyone into becoming whatever life has called them to be? It was like a call to duty, an expression of what it means to conquer setbacks and triumph over them. That we should no longer live in the moment, but become proactive because of the moment. If for some reason you've lost sight of that mission, let me remind you, it's not over yet. How do I know this? Well, because sometimes we need special events and people who raise the bar on expectations to get us moving again, to remind us that we are who we say we are, stoke the fires of ambition, and get back to productivity. After all the pomp and circumstance of last week's special events, excitement overtook me and renewed in me my spirit of creativity. The desire to become more focused and honest about my goals and to reach them. I reassessed what is essential for my success and how to go about achieving this goal. I thought long and hard about it. I was just so inspired. First of all, the changing of the guard. We have gone through so much for 2020. And, we had the pandemic, and then we had all of these people dying. They still are, but it just seemed so savage, so more savage last year. And then, the controversy about the election and all of those things. And then just last week, we had the culmination of that election. And, it was different. It was very different from the inaugurations that we've seen in past years, with all, it still had the pomp and circumstance, but, only the people were missing, that lined the streets, that got to enjoy the festivities, so to speak, to be onlookers and guests. They didn't have to have their name on the list. They were guests because they were, the American people who had an open invitation to see, the changing of the guard, to see a new president take over the country. And but I felt it, even though things were different. They had to do things a little bit different because of the pandemic. And that's understandable. But it was just as powerful. It was just as moving to see all of these people on the same accord, on one accord, And that speaks so loudly to me. And it just, it spoke to my aspirations, and it inspired me to do today's show. You know, I still have that feeling, and it has not left me yet. And I pray that it never will leave me, because that keeps me going. And I want to share that with my audience, because I wanted to keep them going too, because it was so worth it, and so uplifting to see what our country is made out of, to see that we are strong, we are resilient. No matter what bad things happen, some way, through God, we always come through it. And I'm so thankful. And I think that's what I got most from watching the festivities last Wednesday. It just showed me that in spite of, nothing can stand in your way, because if it's meant to happen, it will happen. And I know this because I've had so many trials and tribulations, and I'm sure you have too. But the thing of it is that we made it through. You know, the old people used to sing that song, you know, we made it over. And we did, you know, it's like we made it over another row of hurdles. We made it. And that's important. And, you know, that was my one takeaway from that inauguration last week, was that we all have to persevere in trying times. You know, when the odds are stacked against you, when there's so many obstacles in your path, you have to persevere. And that's what we do as a country. That's what we do as people. That's what we do as writers and authors. We have setbacks. We have bad years. We have bad days. But still, that shouldn't keep us from achieving our dreams, from meeting those goals that we've set for ourselves, because that's important, to never lose sight of that. No matter what, never lose sight of that. Because once you do, you lose your momentum as well. And momentum is something that, you know, that we need. Imagine if the world, and I'm talking about the physical world, if it somehow was knocked off its axis, the momentum would stop. And that means that things as we know it would also stop. So we have to think of our goals in terms of the world's rotation. We have to stay within that rotation. We should never get out of that rotation. Even though, you know, the world has seen many trials and tribulations, and so have we. But still, the world continues on. It continues to spin like it's supposed to. It continues to rotate. It does what it's supposed to do. And so the message is that we should do what we're supposed to do too. So if you were meant to be a writer, be a writer. If you were meant to be a poet, be a poet. Whatever you were meant to be, you should have that aspiration and that inspiration to go forth and claim what is your destiny. There should always be a definite objective and in what it takes to get there. As a rule, don't be afraid to live up to your own expectations. Remember, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will either. The winning formula is aspiration fueled by inspiration. It doesn't take a lot. All you need is a little of both. So let's all get lifted. All right, folks, before I let you go, let me give you a few of these URLs to keep you in that rotation with this weekly show that's on each and every Saturday at 6 p.m. And soon, once I get my schedule together, we will start to have guests for 2021. And I'm looking forward to that, and I hope that you are as well. Okay, so the first one obviously is for Spreaker, and it is at https://www.spreaker.com/user/author Vivian E. Moore. You can follow me, like me, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And Instagram is by invitation only. Also, you can check out my website. That is at https://www.authorvivianemore.com. You can also check out my blog. That is at https://vivianemore.blogspot.com. And if for some reason you missed today's live show, don't fret about that because it is recorded and you can listen to today's episode along with all the other episodes recorded on, of course, Spreaker, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, YouTube, SoundCloud, JioSaven, iTunes, and last but not least, audible.com. So there you go. Those are all of the platforms where you can stay in touch with Book Chat, and I look forward to your messages, and you can like the show and write a review, leave comments. I welcome all. And I look forward to that. And also I look forward to Worship Sunday. That's tomorrow. We should worship daily, but Sunday is the one day that we can all come together and worship, on as a group and still be on one accord. So no matter if you are doing it over the phone lines, or if you are some of the few that are going back into the physical buildings, just remember to wear your mask and to practice safety first, because that's important. We don't want anyone else getting sick. If you haven't gotten your vaccine yet, you may want to think about that if you are of the appropriate age, and if you can find some organization that is not booked up completely to make an appointment to get those done. And also, we should be reminded of how fleeting life can be at times, and it's why I always end my show with these words, to tell someone that you love them, because tomorrow is not promised. Today may be the only chance you get to say that. So I love you. I hope you love me back. Until the next time you hear my voice, God bless you and goodbye.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.